Hello guys, welcome back to this channel. In this very video, I'm going to share with you how fire alarm system works. You could see that we have this bell here. This is actually alarm bell. This is fire alarm switch. We have break glass and this is also SMPS. All these components you see here is about fire alarm, and we have different types of fire alarm. We have smoke detector, heat detector, carbon monoxide detector, we have multi-sensor, and finally manual call point. And these things you see here is the MCP, that's the manual call point, the manual fire alarm. So in this very video, I'm going to talk about manual fire alarm, how it works. But let's talk more about the detectors. With the detectors, as I mentioned, we have heat detector, smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector, and multi-sensor. With a multi-sensor, you are going to be seeing a single sensor that is having 2 or 3 features. Let's assume that this alarm you see here is a multi-sensor. That multi-sensor is going to be having 2 or 3 features. You can use that single multi-sensor to detect smoke or heat or even carbon monoxide. That is the function of the multi-sensor in fire alarm system. And what I'm having here is the MCP, manual call point. With this, it needs human intervention to activate it. Whenever there is fire outbreak, how to manually come closer to where the switch is, and then you push it to break. And whenever it breaks, it's going to trigger the internal mechanism or a built-in switch for this alarm bell you see here to start sounding the alarm for people to come or to alert the neighborhood people that there's fire at this particular place. And with the heat detector, the smoke detector, the carbon monoxide detector, or even the multi-sensor, they are all automatic switches or automatic sensors. When there is heat, it's going to trigger the system. It's going to tell the system that there is heat. So if there is alarm installed in the circuit, it's going to start sounding to tell people that there is heat at this place or there is smoke or fire. But with this, it needs human intervention, how to come and operate it. And as I said, in this very video, we are going to be talking more about this manual call point. Now, you could also see that we have this device here. This device you see here is called SMPS, switch mode power supply, or a rectifier. Now, with the alarm bell, you could see that we have 24-volt DC. It means that our supply voltage should be in DC, that is 24, before this bell will work. If you supply more than 24-volt DC, you're going to burn the motor inside this head. I will open it in this very video to see what we have in here. There is motor. So in order to achieve that, you have to convert the single phase voltage, and that is the work of this SMPS or this rectifier. And unfortunately, this SMPS you see here is 40, so we cannot use it. But understanding form part of the wiring, so I'm going to explain to you how this whole component or this circuit works in this very video. You also have the switch here as they break the glass. This is the switch. We're going to open it in this very video to see what we have in here. And as I said, you also open this alarm bell you see here. This is 24-volt DC, 25 milliamps. We have a spare glass. This is a glass. You break it to activate the switch. I will explain it in this video. We have a spare here. Whenever the glass is broken, how to open it and then put this one in. We also have the wiring diagram. This is the instruction manual. We have the wiring diagram in here. I'm going to explain all this in this very video. Now, after installation and we want to test this fire alarm, how are we going to test it? Are we going to break the glass just like that for the testing. And that is the main reason why we have this plastic rubber here. We have something called testing hole at this side. So guys, let's get right into it. What I will do is to open it and then we'll see what we have in here. It also comes with a pattress box. So this is actually the manual one. We have the automatic ones as I mentioned. So guys, stay tuned. Guys, this is manual fire alarm video. As I said, we have alarm bell over here. This is 24 volt DC. And over here is the switch. This is fire alarm switch. You can see that we have break glass. I'm going to explain all of this in this very video. You also have the address box over here. You have the wiring diagram and everything in here. So I'll explain everything to you in this very video. So what you have to do is to stay tuned. You also have this SMPS here. Some of the components bent in here. You see this black spot over here. Now, the work of this SMPS is to convert the single phase voltage, that is the 240 volts or even 250, to DC. This alarm bell you see here uses 24 volt DC. So in order for us to achieve that, you have to convert the voltage before we're able to get this 24 volts. And that's the work of this SMPS. You can also call this device you see here rectifier. What goes on in this device is called rectification. So you can call this device you see here a rectifier. It also works, or SMPS, that is switch mode power supply. You have the input here, that's the live and the neutral, and you have the output. In the output we have two terminals as positive and three terminals as negative. In the wiring, what you have to do is to connect the negative side direct to this 24 volt DC bell you see here. We have two wires. You connect one, that's the negative to it, and the positive through the switch before coming to the bell. Now, this SMPS you see here is faulty, so you are not going to need it, or you are not going to practically connect it, but it is very important to understand the reason why you are going to need this in the wiring or when working on such a circuit. So what I will do is to put it aside and then talk about these two things. This is the alarm bell, as you see here, 24 volts DC. We have the fire alarm here. We have everything here. Now, you could see that we have break glass. First here, we have arrow pointing to this white thing you see here. We have this arrow first here, pointing to this white spot you see here. You could also see that we have red things over here. Break glass for fire alarm. Can use thumb to break glass. Meaning whenever there is fire outbreak, you can use your thumb, something like this, to push this and it is going to break. So what I will do is to open it for us to see the inside of this switch. This is the pattress and this is the switch itself. I'll also remove these things we have in this rubber to see what it is actually. How the two wires, the negative and the positive, or the live and neutral. This is 24 volt DC. So what I will say is negative and positive. If it was AC, what I will say is live and neutral. The red for the live and the black for neutral. But because it is 24 volt DC, I will say positive and negative as that. Now, I'll first of all open this cap to see what we have inside this alarm bell. This is 14 spanner, so I'll open this head. We want to see what happens when this wires receive the 24 volts. What actually happens, or what we have in this cap. What I will do is to use this screwdriver to open it. Surprise! Guys, we have this motor over here. You could also see that we have this metal bar. Now, when these two wires, the red and the black, supply this motor with 24-volt DC, it is going to activate the internal mechanism of this motor. This is actually a motor, so technically there's going to be windings inside this case. Now, when this motor receives the right voltage, that is the 24 volts, this plastic thing you see here is going to start rotating. Now, you could also see that you have this coupled to this. So the moment this thing starts rotating, it is going to push this. This has been geared to this. So the moment it starts rotating, it's going to cause this to push up and down. You also have a spring over here. That is going to cause it to move forth and back, hence making this rod hit this metal head for the sound to be generated. Now let's see what happens when it receives the voltage. You have it something like this. So the moment the motor starts rotating, that metal rod you see here is going to be hitting this in that order, and that is going to be a continuous alarm when this motor receives the right voltage. That is the DC 24 volts. So guys, that is what we have in here. And what is going to cause this motor to receive the 24 volt DC? That is going to be the work of the switch. Now let's see how the switch also works. We have this switch over here. This is a switch. We also have the wiring diagram in here. Yes, this is a spare glass. We have break the glass. We also have break the glass. So when the glass is being broken, this is actually a spare. What actually happens when the glass is being broken? Let's open it to see what we have inside. And before we open it, I want us to look at something here. You could see that we have a wiring diagram over here. We have a lot of things. We have item number, fire 01. We have working voltage, that is 220 volts AC, 50 Hz, and 24 volt DC. This 24 volt you see here is what we actually have here. And the 220 volts AC is also telling you that sometimes you are going to be seeing 220 volts AC bell. So that is the reason why we have this 220 volts AC. So whenever you see 220 volts AC, it is the same thing. Just connect the bell to your 220 volts and it is going to work. This is DC. So what I have to do is to supply it with 24 volt DC. Now the maximum current 5 amps for 220 volt AC, 50 Hz, 8 amps of current to 24 volt DC. So when you use DC, this is the SMPS. When you use the DC, you are going to be having 8 amps of current. You have contact resistance less or equal to 0.1 ohm. You have working conditions. You're also interested in the wiring diagram. This is the wiring diagram. You can see that we have 6 terminals. But these 6 terminals, we have 1, 2, 7 as one terminal. 1, 2, 7 as one terminal. 1, 2, 7 as one terminal. So in all, we have 3 terminals. We have this as 1, this as 2, and this as 3. We have 1 here representing this terminal, and 1A, that's the same 1 terminal. We have 2 here. We have 2A representing the same terminal. We have 3 here, that is this terminal, and 3A representing the same terminal. So in all, we have terminal 1, terminal 2, and terminal 3. Now, these terminals you see here is the same as one gang two-way switch. These terminals you see here is the same as one gang two-way switch. we have common L1 and L2. You could see that we have a wire linking to this one here. We have one here and has been connected to this one. This one you see here is the common terminal. So the positive wire have to be connected to number one. You can either connect it to this one or connect it to this one. It is the same terminal. You open it and also check it from the inside. You connect your live if it is 220 volts, your live if it is 24 volt DC, the positive to this number one terminal, or the 1A or the 1. It is the same thing. When you connect it to this one you see here, this terminal and this terminal are going to be serving as the normally closed and the normally open, or the L1 and the L2 as the one gang two-way switch. So we have the 1 linking directly to number 3. That is normally closed. You also have number 2 here. This number 2 you see here is linking to this number 2. It is the same thing. It is the same 2 we have here, and this 3 you see is the same 3. So when you connect your live to number 1, that is 1 we have here. It could be 1A or number 1. It is the same one. So if you connect the positive to this 1A or this 1, and you connect from 3, another wire from 3 to the alarm, it's going to start working. It's going to start blowing the alarm if you have the negative connected already. We have 2 terminals because number 1 is linking directly to number 3. So what you have to do is to connect the positive to number 1. You use another wire, you connect it to 2, from 2 to the alarm itself. Number 2 and number 1 are normally open. So unless the glass you see here is being broken before it will work. Let's open it. We have a switch in here. Okay guys, this is the glass. We have a switch over here. This is the switch. Now when we have the glass in here, the glass is pushing this switch. When it pushes it like this, number 1 you see here and number 3 are linking to each other. So when you connect the live to number 1 and you use another wire, connect from 3 to the alarm, and you connect the neutral, it's going to start working unless you break the glass before it will stop. So when you connect the live or the positive to number 1 and from 2 to the alarm, and you connect your negative to the other wire, it is not going to work unless the glass you see here is being broken. We have number 1 and number 2 as normally open, like the L1 and the L2. We have number 1 and number 3 as L1, number 1 and number 2 as L2, as the one gang two-way switch. So when it is in this state, it is not going to work. When you connect it to the switch wire to number 2, it is not going to work unless you break the glass. When you break it, the switch is going to be pulled backwards. Now we have it inside. This glass you see here has pushed it inside. When I remove it, you see that it has bounced back. You could hear the clicking sound. That is how it works. So whenever you see this manual fire alarm switch, the principle is very simple. Break glass. Whenever there is fire, you have to come and break this glass. You're going to be seeing this inside this. Just push here to break. The moment it breaks, this pattern will just push inward, and the switch you see here is going to come outside. The spring we have in the switch is going to push it out, hence making the bell rings. So guys, that is how it works. So whenever the glass is being broken, what you have to do is to replace it with this one or buy a different glass from the market. Simple as that. That is how it works. Like the one gang two-way switch, as I said, we have the L1 and the L2. So guys, basically that is how this fire alarm switch works. What I have to do to push it inside, something like this. Have this one here. Okay. So guys, the principle is very simple. So guys, how are you going to test this manual fire alarm after installation? Are you going to break the glass for the testing? What are you going to do? And that is the main reason why we have this plastic over here. As I said earlier on, this is the break glass we have here. This is the break glass. We break it for the alarm bell to start sounding an alarm for people to come around or for firefighters to come and quench the fire. Now, after the installation, you cannot break this glass you see here and say that you are testing the circuit, or even break it and replace it with a spare just like that. It's not going to happen. You have this plastic over here, and you also have a testing hole. You can see that you have this hole over here. Now, after the installation, and I want to test whether the installation is okay or it is not okay, everything is working perfectly or it is not working, what I have to do is to insert this plastic you see here. You have to push it all the way inside. When you push it, it's going to trigger the switching mechanism. So this alarm bell you see here is going to start sounding. The alarm. And when you want to switch it off, just pull it. You can insert it directly. That is how to test it. You cannot break it just like that for the testing. You only have one as a spare. So what you have to do is to insert this. You have to push it all the way inside. And when you push it, it's going to lock. You cannot pull it out just like that unless you open it. Just push it inside. Something like this. So it's going to trigger the switching mechanism for the alarm to start sounding. Something like just now it has started. I want to remove it unless I open it. When I push it, it is going to work. I stop it, something like this. So guys, that is how we test this manual fire alarm. This is the switch and this is the alarm bell, the alarm itself. This is 24-volt DC, meaning negative and positive, or you can connect the positive to this wire and the negative to this. It's going to work. Anyhow you connect it, it's still going to work. Guys, that is how the manual fire alarm works. If you find this video helpful, consider subscribing to this channel, Mr. Electric DIY, and turn on the notification bell so that anytime I drop a video, YouTube is going to notify you that Mr. Electric DIY has posted a new video, and you are going to be the first person to watch it. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in my next video. Bye bye.